Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Every analysis video that I make is unique, and there are different things that I get into with each one, and all of them can vary on the amount of data or performances that I am sent, and sometimes the data that I'm sent is okay, but it's not great. So I will do my own research and look at other performances, and this is the case tonight. I've been asked to take a look at Shania Twain, and I had two performances that were sent to me, but I felt like for this analysis video we needed more data. So I looked at a lot more performances, and tonight we're going to be featuring 6, I believe, in all, just to see what is going on. As always, the links to these videos can be found in the description below in case you guys want to cross-reference anything or just watch the performances from beginning to end without the analysis. And just to clarify, the request was asking me about the vocals and whether from one show to the next show it was a live vocal or whether it was lip-synced or mimed, so we'll be getting into all of that. First of all, what I'm going to do is something that I've done in other videos where we just have a listen to the isolated vocal from different performances playing back at the same time. So we're going to start by listening to all of them. So we've got the 20th of July 2025, July the 15th 2025, Calgary 2025, don't have a month for that, and then FEQ 2025, and I believe that's a name of a festival, and August 1st 2025 and August 2nd 2025. Now I remember the request came through with somebody who had heard the vocal one night after the next on the 1st and the 2nd of August. So that was the original data that I was sent. But we will listen to all of the performances that I've just named, all playing back at the same time. Let's have a listen.
I'm going out tonight, I'm feeling all the vibe, gonna let it all hang out, wanna make some noise, really some chords, yeah, I wanna scream and shout, no inhibitions, make no conditions, get a little out of line.
So, I mean, just listening to things, and I have separated the vocals, panning one left, one right, and one in the middle, and I don't know how many we've got going on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got 6 vocals, and I have spread them around just so that we can hear any differences a little bit more clearly. But I would say that I certainly understand the reason for this request, because those vocals, not just from the 1st and the 2nd, but from all of the other performances that I've got going here, sounds pretty similar. So the pitch monitor's up on screen, and we are going to be dealing with a lot of data tonight. So I'll try and keep it as organized as possible and explain everything as clearly as I can. So I'm just going to let the 20th July, 15th July and Calgary 2025 play through.
I'm going out tonight, I'm feeling all the vibe.
So I'm just going to jump in here, because what you've also got to consider is Shania Twain as a vocalist. And I've mentioned in the past on the channel that she's got an amazing voice and is amazingly accurate. So if a singer like Shania Twain is performing one night after the next night after the next night, you're going to get quite similar results. You're not going to hear the same note missed, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times at different performances all around the world. So when we start getting that kind of thing, it makes me think, well, she's too good a singer to always be missing it actually by exactly the same amount each time. That's the other bit that seems to then, sound alarm bells. But getting into what we've just heard, what interests me is this section where we're between the G sharp 3 and the A3. We're pretty much perfectly between notes there, and we're perfectly between notes here, and we can't see very clearly apart from the A3 is the note that she's singing from the melody of the song, and that's up here, A3, A3, and here you can see she's not on that A3 either. You can actually see just the top at the bottom of the screen there, just the top of that peak, where this peak happens and this peak happens. So in these 3 performances that we're looking at so far, exactly the same thing. And this is just the opening phrase. And I know that looking at it, you could say, well, she started flat here, had a wider vibrato. Started flat here, had a wider vibrato. Started flat here, had a wider vibrato. But the data that we do get, even if we're discounting this first section because of this peak being slightly higher, when we then look further on here, we have what I would consider quite a unique, I mean, we're straight on the A sharp 3 in all 3 of these performances. And I mean, it looks like it's an echo, one after the next. So now what I'm going to do is get rid of the 20th of July, 2025. And again, we're just listening to the first few words of the song. And I get rid of this, and we can see here, started flat of the A sharp 3 and ascended with a wider vibrato. And this, again, just touches that B3 like the other 2 did, like this one does here. And again, we get this same kind of arrangement. We are perfectly over the A sharp 3 here, and it very much simulates what's going on with these other 2 graphs. Just quickly on a technical point, I said about the FEQ Performance 2025, I've labelled that as Quebec 2025. So that's going to be to do with that festival, just for people wanting to clarify things, but all of the information's in the description below, all of the links to these videos. So let me get rid of that and bring on Calgary 2005, because what I want to try and do is just shift this across to the left, because as we know, if we get anything replicating itself, it's the same audio file, and that's the only explanation for it. So having a look at this section here, if I'm now going to be moving this up, because it looks like it could be an echo. When I say an echo, I mean that we're going directly over the top of other lines. So I have just zoomed in because I know we've got loads of ambient noise here and things getting thrown off all over the place. Another consideration is sometimes the vertical lines won't go over each other because there's a kickback delay on some of the performances with Shania's vocal. And this is why I've looked at so much data. It's because sometimes the pitch monitoring software will plot the delay of the voice rather than the first time that the voice came through, and vice versa. So sometimes the vertical lines don't match up, which again is annoying that we haven't got this clean data set to work with. But we know that if there's any replications, even tiny bits of replicating vocals and lines going over lines, then it's the same audio file. Now, what I will say is in this particular case, and I'm not even going to say that this definitely proves it's the same audio file, but it's pretty close, because here, if we're having a look at these lines, we go up here and then down here, we kind of lose the signal here, but we come down to below the line, we go up above the line, and we have this weird kind of leveling out that happens for, this is hundredths of a second, and this again levels out. And actually this does go up a little bit if you can see it through the white line, and this goes up a little bit through the white line, and then we go down below, then we come up to then a point that then flattens out again, and we come down below, and then we go up above. So as I said, I'm not now saying that this is definitely the same audio file, but when we move it up, like I said, it's going to be very, very close indeed. Like that, I mean, that's the kind of thing here that I would say, well, yeah, I mean, that is kind of raising a red flag for me, just looking at how close, considering these are different performances, looking at how close these lines are overlapping in this section, and we are not overlapping in other sections. I know that people watching my videos will say, well, this does prove it's the same audio file from these 2 different performances, but it's getting to the conclusion of what is going on across 6 performances, and that's what we're going to continue to investigate. What I also want to do is actually listen to these isolated vocals so that we can start to compare one to the next. And I've got reference speakers here, so it means that I'm hearing it in a lot of detail, but also I have very sensitive ears, as some people do, so you can start to hear similarities in the particular phrase. Have a listen to this, 20th of July 2025. Now the thing is, I don't know this song, so I don't know the lyrics, and I don't know what Shania is saying here. Let's listen again. So now we're going to move to the 15th of July. Have a listen to the same section. And again, I can't make out what that is. And now we'll go to Calgary 2025. And now we've actually got quite a clean signal. And yeah, I still can't make out what she's saying. Now we'll go to FEQ 2025. Okay, not a very clear signal there, but again, sounds very similar. So you can hear how on all of these, that was August 1st, now August 2nd. So those were all different performances with what sounds to me like exactly the same kind of delivery, where you can't make out the words. And it sounds like it's in exactly the same place pitch-wise as well. It just sounded like I've played the same thing there 6 times over, and there's usually some kind of variation that happens. Now, what I want to do is continue listening, but we will get into the pitch monitoring software afterwards. But I want to listen to all 6 performances and the verse after the chorus, because we're going to get into the details of listening to this now. Have a listen to this. So, actually, I'm going to give you the context of this. Have a listen. So the melody is na, or it should be na 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 na. So it's quite a simple melody. Listen to it again. Break, very flat here. Tonight, and very flat there. Now the reason I'm pointing this out is because we're going to do something a little bit fancy and listen to it looped so that we can hear the difference between na 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 and what's going on here. Have a listen. Break it tonight, break it tonight, break it tonight, break it tonight. So we've got this break it tonight, break it tonight. That's what we're hearing. Break it tonight, break it tonight. So you can hear that that isn't da na 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 da na da na na. Break it tonight is, it should be up there, but yeah, it's not quite in that place. So when we get used to this, break it tonight, break it tonight, break it tonight. Let's now take the 15th of July and we're going to do exactly the same thing. Break it tonight, break it tonight, break it tonight, break it tonight. We've got this unique melody that is flat and it's not hitting the notes of the melody, and it's exactly the same melody, incorrect melody, that we've got on the 20th of July and July the 15th. So we can conclusively say that that melody is absolutely solid and the same incorrect melody, and Shania is such a great vocalist. I don't think that she would do that twice in a row. That would be like a one-off. So the fact that it's happened exactly the same way twice is, well, it's suspicious. So let's listen to Quebec 2025, same thing. Break it tonight, break it tonight, break it tonight, break it tonight. We're still getting this same melody, exactly the same. And by the way, the timing of this is perfect between the 3 performances, because that's all I'm looping, this section of each performance. And it's looping exactly the same section because it's happening at exactly the same time across all of these dates. So let's now go to August 1st. Exactly the same thing. Have a listen. Break it tonight, break it tonight, break it tonight, break tonight. Again, we've got this incorrect melody going on. And finally, 2nd of August.
Break it tonight, break it tonight.
Exactly the same. Break it tonight. So, it means we've got exactly the same thing happening in terms of an incorrect melody being slightly flat in all 5 performances. Do we look at 1, 2, 3, 4? Yeah, in all 5 of these performances. And yeah, I mean, for me, there's only one explanation for that. But if we are relating this to the pitch monitor, unfortunately, we've got loads of ambient noise. But you can see here that the G3 and the G sharp 3, she's trying to hit a G sharp 3 here. That's where the melody should be, but it falls in between the lines here. And like here in between the lines again, G3, G sharp 3. Here it's off the bottom of the screen. But I think because of the data, like here, I mean, it's down here somewhere at the bottom of the screen, but we're not going to get the data as clear as I'd like it. But that's what happens at live venues and people getting it on their phones and ambient noise. Like, we can see that when it has picked up this note that we're between the G3 and the G sharp 3, but hopefully, because we're listening to the same melody over and over and over again, it kind of gets its own personality as to where the pitch is. And it's in exactly the same spot every time in these 6 performances. And it's happened at exactly the same time in the song. And it's not something that Shania isn't singing it like this intentionally. She's trying to sing the melody of the song. And this is why she's such a great vocalist, that I don't for a moment consider that she has been this inaccurate 6 times in a row. Now, what does this mean? It means that Shania has a backing track and her vocal is on that backing track. It is the same audio file. But that audio file has not been pitch corrected. It has not been auto-tuned. What she's done is record a live vocal, and that in advance, and then that live vocal is now being played back at all of these performances. And I know people might say, oh, but well, maybe no people are saying this, but just in case people are saying, oh, those all sounded different to me, all 6 of those vocals that you looped, we'll look into a little bit more and see what else we can find. And just for reference, we are now at 2 minutes and 2 seconds. And I mean, this is the kind of thing, again, that jumps out. And we've already had those lines that looked like they were exactly the same lines earlier on. And it's when we're looking at this kind of thing down here. Down here, we have this D4, and this is the 20th of July, where we go a little bit just over the line. We come up, we have a peak. But then the next peak comes up and touches the line here. And then over... oh, here we go. Exactly the same. And it's kind of in line, which helps us. So here we went just sharp of the D4. And this is again happening at the same split second now on the 15th of July that it happened on the 20th of July. So we've then got this peak that is flat. And then we have this other peak that comes up and touches the line. We then have over here, Quebec, 2025. This... again, goes sharp, comes up, peak below the line, comes up, touches the line. And now this is the kind of thing that, seeing this now 3 times over, happening at exactly the same time, yeah, I mean, at this point I would conclude, having heard what I've heard, seen what I saw in that first verse, considering all of the ambient noise, now seeing what I'm seeing here, we've got clear replications and echoes of audio when it's being heard by the pitch monitoring software, and we get a clean signal just for this split second. We're getting a replication. And for those of you that want me to just move it across to show what's going on, when you get to the correct place, yeah, there you'll see that we've got lines. Actually, this line coming down here is kind of over the top of the other line. I mean, it's all pretty close. I mean, this part here, is an absolute slam dunk of the same audio going over the top of itself. Right, let me move this up here and try to adjust it for time as well. And there we go. We get exactly the same kind of M up here. And this point here, yeah, it is joining up with this line here that's from the other show. So yeah, once we start getting lines completing lines and lines going over lines, even with all of this crowd noise going on, yeah, there's only one explanation for that, and that's that it's the same audio file. And for people that don't understand about the ambient noise and what I'm saying, all of these shows were at different times, and all of the crowd noise was different, meaning nothing should match up here. This should never look like this, let alone look like this, and all three look the same together, because this means that the crowd at the time would all have to have been making exactly the same noise at exactly the same hundredths of a second at this point in the performance during this exact song. This can only be Shania's voice here, as is this, as is this. Now, where we get lines that go all over the place in other parts of the graphs, because that is the crowd, then you can say, well, yeah, you're going to get different crowd noise. It's going to be impossible for the crowd to replicate the noise of a previous crowd. So, yeah, just to, hopefully that makes it clearer how conclusive this is when you see it, that it is impossible for this to happen unless it's the same audio file being played back, and the pitch monitoring software has heard that audio file at this point very clearly. So we'll just move it forward a little bit, and I mean there's a guitar solo in here as well, but okay, we've got something going on here. Let me just have a listen to where we are. Okay, yeah, so that's definitely Shania's lead vocal, and again, looking for similarities that we have here. F4 just slightly sharp, and like here we go below, but then we're sharp again but a little bit higher, so you know, maybe what, 3 or 4 cents higher than we were on this F4. Now looking over 2nd of August, slightly sharp here, we did go down, didn't have the dramatic point, and then up here slightly sharper by exactly the same amount above the F4. And up here, the A4, we come up, just go over the line, come back down again, A4, come up, just go over the top of the line, and critically, we come down below the line, and then we go up above the line. Here, we go down below the line, and we go up above the line, but then we kind of lose the signal here. Oh, and look at this little bit here, and I'll get this on screen as well. This bit here that is slightly flat of the G4, here slightly flat of the G4, come down. So yeah, you can see these parts are matching up. Now the 15th of July we haven't got, unfortunately, the data from that getting picked up. There's obviously lots of crowd noise going on, but these little parts here just being exactly the same amounts sharp for the same hundredths of a second from the 1st of August to the 2nd of August. Yeah, again, I mean, looking at this, there's only one explanation for this as well. So yeah, we're absolutely, when we start tying all of this together, we're absolutely listening to the same audio file and looking at it in even more detail. This point here, just flat of the A4, and this is happening in like a fraction of a second that these pitches are getting plotted. This isn't a held note. It's just a noise that's come down and stopped off here, and you can see that same noise is stopped off at that A4 there. But I'll let it go all the way to the end, so like 3 minutes and 39 seconds now. And again, I'm just going to let these play through so you can listen and see if everything's still synced up.
Yeah, it's all crazy. Yeah, feel it. No,
So here, and then she just sings the end part. And actually that end part sounds like we do have a variation somewhere in that right channel. So of course she's got a live mic, but there'll be parts when she's interacting with the crowd and her live mic obviously can be heard because she's saying the bits in between the singing that's on the backing track. But anyway, getting back into this, there's a part here that sounds weird. That part sounds like, I mean, we can see here A sharp 4, really flattened out and kind of just on the line and then under the line and on the line and under the line. Sounds a bit weird. And then, without a breath, she's gone straight into these high notes. I say she's gone into them. That's the kind of thing that you would need to take a breath for, and you can hear, unfortunately, that is on A440. That is calibrated to A440. Those notes are identical when you listen to them. Have a listen. There's no variation of pitch in those. So here we've got the 3 high notes from August 1st here, Quebec in the middle, and 20th of July on the right hand side. And you can start to see how we get these replications going on. And which one of these can I grab? I can move this over here. And when we start lining these things up, you can see how we get this perfect replication, and you see how the lines are completing themselves. So the timing is absolutely spot on here. Here, this is either ambient noise. I mean, it looks like it because of the way that we then get this weird peak going on here. But you can see how this line goes into those lines. So those are absolutely the same audio file. This is absolutely the same thing being played back on the backing track. And yeah, when we move it over here, we get a similar kind of thing. Again, more ambient noise going on, but a line coming out of a line here. This line is going up, has a little gap, and then goes into the other version. Oh yeah, and look, that doesn't even exist there. So the other line comes in, and once it's lined up with the rest of it, it all kind of goes together perfectly. So we've got exactly the same notes, exactly the same audio file being played back here at the same time at the end of the song. And it does sound like that. I said it just sounds calibrated. It just sounds a bit weird, especially without a breath before this end part of the song. Now, just to finish with, I want to have a listen to this end part because I do believe we have Shania's actual voice in there with the voice that's on the backing track. Baby! So that's Shania's live vocal, I think. You're doing that lower line, and the higher voice of Shania's that you can hear is on the backing track. So she does effectively harmonise with herself there. So it means that what we have here, I think, is a fully live band. So the band are playing along to a click, or at least the drummer is, and that's why everything syncs up. And there are other elements on the backing track. So have a listen to this. Like that middle fun, or should I say the second fun, is obviously massively louder than everything else. That part, take it back from... So that's on the backing track, you know, all of those voices coming together. But it is the same audio file of a vocal performance that hasn't been pitch corrected or auto-tuned. So that's the important thing to mention, that, yeah, I mean, it might be accepted that this is the kind of thing you're going to get. But for me, I think with country music, and especially, you know, Shania Twain, like being so huge in the UK as that country pop kind of crossover, she's got such a great voice that for me it was a bit of a surprise to see this kind of thing happening, where I can see it's the same thing happening at exactly the same hundredths of a second, and lines overlapping lines, and, you know, right at the end there, that's the only bit of calibration we get. So when I say that it hasn't been pitch corrected, the very last part of it has, but all of the rest of it is not pitch corrected. And that's actually why it stands out, because there's one section that is noticeably just off key, and that happens 6 times in a row, and the odds of that happening are impossible. Like, Shania would not be able to repeat that incorrectly 6 times at exactly the same pitch every single time. So yeah, but I mean, we've had lines, overlapping lines, that make it indisputable as well. But anyway, thank you guys for requesting this particular video. And I'm not having a go at Shania Twain or anything. I'm answering the request for somebody who wants to know what was going on the 2 nights that they saw Shania Twain, and for this song in particular. So that's what I've done, exactly the same as all of my analysis videos. They are objective, and we're just going to deal with the data and the facts. Anyway, keep those requests coming through to requests@wingsofpegasus.com. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section as always, and if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Rock!